Hi, I'm Josh with Tactical Tech, and this is just a quick tutorial on settings in the ipTrack system. To get to settings, just click the settings button and it brings up the settings window. Now there are two types of settings, one for local, which are settings that only pertain to your personal user settings and don't affect anyone else. And then there are global settings, which affect everyone using the database. Global settings should only be modified by maybe your administrator, or ClinOps, or PAD, or command team, or whoever is designated to manage those settings on behalf of everyone. But let's talk about the local settings first. So right here you have the opportunity to put in your phone number, and that's important because under service view, when you request service, it's going to put your phone number in there so they know who to call if they have any additional questions. So want to make sure to update that upon initially using this database. You also got the data refresh interval, where you'll notice that the pages all refresh every 30 seconds by default in the background here. But you can change that if it gets annoying. It trust me, it does get annoying. You can change that to whatever you want. I would recommend making it about 300 seconds, which is about 5 minutes, or exactly 5 minutes. And then you got the number of hours to show completed. This mainly pertains to the services view. It'll show these completed items here up to about 2 hours, and then they drop out of this view. They still exist, but they just drop out of the service view because they aren't really concerned with completed items. But you can adjust that to be 24 hours, whatever you so desire. And then you got the checkbox for showing the getting started window that pops up when you first log in. You can disable that if you just don't want to see that when opening up the application. Now, if you're just a basic user, that's all you need to know for settings. You don't have to watch the rest of this video. But for the guy responsible for the global settings, the rest of this video is for you. When you start with a fresh instance of ipTrack, you're going to have to go in and configure all the beds and all the sections. And this will go out the door with the standard set of options, but you can remove these options if necessary. If you don't need the consult service, we can get rid of that. And let's just for right now add in a new ward. We're going to say that the 555th FRSD is supporting us with an ICU. So we're going to make that a ward, and as soon as I press enter and click out of there, it's going to ask me how many beds are associated with this ward. And I'm just going to put in 8 beds, and that's going to do something for us in the background here. If I go over to beds, you take a look at the 555 ICU, and it added in those 8 beds automatically. If I want to add in another one, say it was actually 9 beds, I can just scroll down here, add it in manually, and that's number 9, bed number 9. Press F5, and that'll sort it with the rest of them. Now, let's say I just want to differentiate this a little bit better, 2 different ICUs, and this one's already in there by default. I can change this to, let's say it's HHC ICU, and that changes all these beds associated with HHC ICU, or the original ICU. Let's go and add in a test service. I'm just going to call it test service. Very generic. I'm going to change this drop down to service, and they don't have beds in the service section, so they're actually, what it did in the background for us is added in a couple status codes. Now, by default, each service has new requests, completed, and canceled. These are hard-coded. Don't get rid of them because that affects, basically the conditional formatting, how it gets displayed, when it's filtered out within this entire system. Everything else is free chicken. You can throw in whatever you want. So, for example, under radiology, we put in progress CT as one of the options there. And we can create a couple of custom options here. All we got to do is put in the service that it's related to, what the status is going to say, and we'll add in a second one here, another one here, maybe awaiting analysis. And I'll press F5 just to refresh that, scroll on down, and it adds adds in those two different options. Now we can custom sort these. Let's say we want awaiting analysis to be before test in progress here. We can just leave that as number 2, following right after number 1, which is new request, and we'll make this next one number 3, and press F5, and it'll show up in order as you want to show it here. And you got a wide range to play with until you hit completed, about everything from 2 to 97, and it'll show up in order on the dropbacks as well. Alright, so those were the difficult parts. Let's just go over all the other little options. So all these drop downs, this is a highly customizable database. I didn't hard code too many of the drop downs here. So all these things are customizable. You can put in your own values, even the unit for the most part. We'll talk about that in a minute. But here is just branches. You can add in another branch if, I don't know, we get an international force or something. You can throw that in there. Nutrition. Let's talk about nutrition. So this is what it's going out the door with, but you can take away some of these meals, add in a couple more, but just something to keep in mind. The meal distribution crosstab only supports up to 10 different meals. So if you have 11 different meals here, that 11th meal won't show up in the crosstab query here, and it won't give you the totals for that 11th or 12th or 13th meal type. But down here it will give you that 11th, 12th, or 13th meal type and beyond. So try to keep the meal types or the nutrition types to round 10 or below, so just for the sake of this crosstab query. Then of course you got the nationality. These are hard-coded. They actually change colors depending on these, at least these first 3, but anything additional, well, I don't have any conditional formatting for those, so those are just going to show up as plain gray or white depending on which row they're in. Then you got the rank. I don't like how I have this, but basically this is abbreviation for every rank within DoD. I might change this later on, throw in a, what branch it's actually associated with, have some filters later on. And then you got the evac status. You can change that around if you need to. And down here in units, this is just units that you know you're going to be dealing with a lot. And you may want to put those in there, and that just makes it easier to ensure standardization of formatting when it comes to units, so you don't get 8 different variations of 86 in Airborne Division written in. Now this is a very flexible thing. You notice that 1st Marine Division isn't in the unit combo selection box. That was put in for somebody else, and it grabbed 1st Marine Division and threw it in this combo, and just in case we get a couple more Marines in from that division. They don't have, again, 8 different variations of 1st Marine Division. You got one to pick from. Now, I almost forgot, there's also the unit logo and the unit name. Now, by default, it's this Tactical Tech logo. We can remove that and add in our custom logo right here. Open that. Okay. And we'll also change the unit name from this default to that, and that affects this main title bar. And it's not only nice just from an aesthetic perspective, but it also allows you to walk around, look in somebody's computer, and they're not seeing the patients you're seeing. This is good indication. If they don't have this logo, they don't have your field hospital as their set header, they're probably tied into the wrong hospital. You can slap them upside the head and say, "You're in the wrong hospital, dumbass," or something like that, and get them set up with correct back-end database. And something that might be good to do is also, maybe in parentheses or something, put in the exercise that you're a part of, or the deployment you're part of. We'll go with 2024-01, and that just ensures that everybody's on the same database, just like we were talking about earlier. So that's it for settings. Thank you for your patience watching. It's Josh from Tactical Tech. You have a nice day.